that it's one of the pitfalls that most men fall into, and that I had fallen into, is that we have this obsession with specialness in our culture, and we have this desire, especially we as men, we have this deep desire to find some silver bullet,
Yeah.
to like find the thing. And I think men really hunt for it, like they hunt for like, what's the thing that, a super successful person is going to, that's going to teach me, that it'll just, blow my mind. And then I'll know exactly how to build a $2 million business or a $10 million company. Or what's
Right.
the thing that I'm going to learn, in one coaching session that's going to irrevocably change my life and put me on such a different path, and all my problems will be solved. It's the illusion of the ego that we need to pierce through. And for me, I was fortunate because I had a very good mentor at the time, who was my he was he was my mentor in singing, but he also had a background in psychology and Jungian psychology
Mm.
and cognitive behavioral therapy and positive psychology and NLP. And so I was fortunate enough to have this 74-year-old man. I called him my little white Yoda because he was like this little 5'5" Quebecois,
Wow.
French Canadian guy who was just he was like a bulldog, like he was fierce, but he was loving and compassionate, and he had all this life experience. And so I ended up spending, 2.5 years working with him on a daily, weekly basis, as often as I could.
Amazing.
And I would, I'd pay him for his time, or I'd help him around his farm. And it was a true apprenticeship. And
Mm.
that's so lacking and missing in our culture and our society. And so it was a kind of initiation that really supported me in my life where I was at, and helped me to rebuild the foundations of who I was after a pretty significant collapse.
Yeah, man, that mentorship, that apprenticeship, it's so needed. And oftentimes we as men also are like, obviously we don't ask for help, right? But
Yeah.
we're also like, who does this guy think he is? Or what does he think he knows, right? How's he going to help me? He'll never understand my relationship or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Is there, just while we're here, are there any any funny stories, any wax on, wax off type of things that happen through that apprenticeship?
Oh man. I mean, there's a ton. I mean, I helped him, like, you know, pick asparagus, and I remember him talking about like the health benefits of asparagus, and it's like where I learned that it makes your pee smell bad.
Yeah.
He went through this experience with cancer. He had prostate cancer, and it was a very interesting time to see this man that I deeply respected go through and meet his own mortality, and we would have conversations after working together about what his experience was. And, he'd share uh, parts about the surgery and the recovery. And, but I think, a funny moment, I guess a funny moment is, we were doing some work on NLP, and I was very confronted by this, like, one exercise that he was walking me through. And literally in Yoda fashion, he said, Connor, you either do it or you don't, but there's no trying.
Yeah.
And I cracked up and I laughed, and I was like, are you quoting Star Wars to me right now in our sessions? And he's like, I've never seen those movies, but I've heard that they're great. And I was like, what? I was like, and I couldn't, and I swear to you, to this day, I have no idea whether or not he was serious. Like, he was that type of person. I was like, I couldn't tell if he
Yeah.
had seen the movies and he was just messing with me, or if he had never seen them and he had just quoted Yoda unintentionally.
So